Ground Zero in New York. And I remember standing there the next day.
He's a liar.
And looking at the building. I felt like I was looking through the gates of hell.
You disgust me. How can you live with yourself?
It looked so devastating because from where you could stand.
You sit on a throne of lies.
It's worth noting, very simply, that the nexus of impeaching Joe Biden is really, really simple. There's not really hard math here. There's no logarithms. There's no sine, cosine. It's pretty simple. Article 2, Section 4. We're going to talk about various First Amendment issues with the Attorney General of Missouri later on the show. But Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution is the impeachment clause. It states that a president must be impeached if he commits treason or bribery. So Joe Biden committed both in Ukraine. You can see here in our helpful little chart that we have put together for you how the bribery and the impeachment worked with Joe Biden. According to the FBI's own documentation, the presidents of Burisma pay the Biden family in order to get rid of the prosecutor, and then the Bidens get paid. And the circle goes on and on and on. The circle of life. And there's your bribery. Confirmed. There's your constitutional requirement for Congress to impeach Joe Biden. But they could also impeach Joe Biden for, I guess, desecrating the memory of the Americans who were murdered on September 11th. The nearly 3,000 Americans who were murdered on September 11th. Joe Biden spent September 11th praising, in the hours before flying to Alaska to inexplicably spend September 11th in Alaska, Joe Biden was praising the communist Viet Cong, was kissing John McCain's memorial in Hanoi, and was shaking hands with the Saudis, who we evidenced yesterday were funding the 9/11 hijackers. So that's how Joe Biden led up to his honoring of the families on September 11th. So what did Joe Biden then do when he finally was trotted off onto a military base yesterday? Well, he began his September 11th commentaries with a joke. Gallows humor here, laughing and chuckling about playing football. Watch.
Governor Dunleavy, it's good to see you. Governor and I have something in common. We're both from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I wish I had him playing in my high school ball club when I was playing. But could have been an All-American, have you in front of me.
So, great. Joe Biden is joking about playing football, but that's the least of his sins. After clapping backs and hands with the people who, again, the majority, the vast preponderance of 9/11 hijackers came from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia literally funded and facilitated those hijackers on American soil with, according to the FBI's own documentation, the help of the CIA. Very curious. Why would the CIA be funding the hijackers in America? Really leads to a lot of questions. By the way, these are from the government's own documents. These aren't from like Reddit threads or InfoWars. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But like, this is from the government's own documentation, from firsthand sources. So the CIA facilitating, with the Saudis, the hijackers getting onto American soil and then their flight training. Strange that. And then not doing anything to close up America's border. So Joe Biden's been in charge. Joe Biden's been leading American foreign policy in the aftermath of September 11th for the last 20 years. It's been 22 years. Has Joe Biden closed the border? Has Joe Biden built a border wall? You know, like, the crisis of September 11th was an intelligence one, obviously, and that needs to be dealt with. But then also is a border problem. It's an immigration problem. We let these people into our country. I think 16 of the 19 hijackers were Saudi Arabian. And here's Joe Biden, like, sucking the toes of the Saudi prince yesterday. Again, optics, man. But that's not the worst of his crimes. Joe Biden then went on to lie about September 11th, straight up lied about September 11th, saying, yeah, I remember going to Ground Zero the day after the attacks. No, you didn't. Watch.
To renew our sacred vow, never forget never forget. We never forget. Each of us, each of those precious lives stolen too soon when evil attacked. Ground Zero in New York. And I remember standing there the next day and looking at the building. I felt like I was looking through the gates of hell. It looked so devastating because from where you could stand.
Okay. Looking through the gates of hell was actually reading Ashley Biden's diary and finding out that Joe Biden would shower with his own daughter. But anyway, we actually looked into the gates of hell, which are Joe Biden's old clips in C-SPAN, and what did we end up finding? Well, we ended up finding Joe Biden on September 12th, 2021, standing on the Senate floor, mewling and griping about spending September 11th inside of a locked bunker. That's what Joe Biden was doing. Joe Biden spent September 11th, 2001 in a bunker. Kamala Harris spent it snuggling up with her boyfriend Montel Williams, trying to be famous. And Donald Trump spent it marching into the ash and the fire with his own men from his own construction site in order to help. So that's where everyone inside of our current political zeitgeist spent September 11th. Joe Biden's a dirty, dirty liar. Joe Biden had also claimed at the time that he saw a fireball from the Pentagon. This from Miranda Devine. Joe Biden claimed he was at Ground Zero one day after 9/11, despite his own autobiography placing him in D.C., along with the literal camera footage from the floor of the well of the Senate. He also claimed that he saw a fireball at the Pentagon. No, you can't. You can't. Have you ever been to D.C.? You can't see the Pentagon from the United States Capitol. That's not how this works. This isn't old age. He's just a liar. Why would you lie about September 11th? What an evil thing to do. What a filthy scumbag. You are a filthy person if you lie about September 11th. But it gets even worse when you get into the actual, White House commentary on Joe Biden. So the White House was asked, why is Joe Biden not at one of the attack sites? This is the first president in 22 years to not visit an attack site. I hope you're sitting down, and I hope you have, your heart medication or whatever ready, because this one's going to send your blood pressure through the roof. Listen to how the White House responded when pressed by Fox News, why isn't Joe Biden at a 9/11 attack site?
Well, our focus the last couple days has been on President Biden here in South Asia. And when I asked a White House official why it is that President Biden was here and missing the 9/11 commemorations at the attack sites, the analogy that I was given is that 22 years after Pearl Harbor, U.S. presidents were not still going to visit Hawaii.
Oh, okay. Got it. Well done, everyone. Well done. From the same regime that says that Pearl Harbor and September 11th are the same thing as January 6th, where the only person killed was an unarmed Trump supporter, shot at point-blank range without warning, which is, of course, manslaughter. And that person should be imprisoned forever for the rest of his life. But it's the January 6th, mostly peaceful protesters that are going to be spending the next 25 to life in prison. Got it? Got it? Yeah. I wonder why our regime has a lack of credibility abroad. Wonder why we're suffering from a lack of credibility here inside of this country. Kamala Harris was instead placed at Ground Zero yesterday by our regime, and she ended up cackling, standing there on the ashes and graves of nearly 3,000 Americans. Kamala Harris cackling at the September 11th memorial because such a fun time, such a lighthearted event, is our nuclear cringe of the day.